El Camino de Santiago, or the Way of St. James, or simply Camino, is an ancient pilgrimage trail in Spain spanning from different unique routes that all end at the Santiago de Compostela Cathedral in Galicia, which has become one of the world's popular walking trail for all sorts of reasons, be it a spiritual journey, self-knowledge and healing, connecting with nature, for travel or sport. For me personally, it is a walk for the soul. We did the last 115 kilometers of the French way from Sarria to Santiago in 5 days. This route brought us across beautiful landscape and rustic villages of northern Spain, experienced the unique Camino culture along the way, tasted local cuisine, and met other pilgrims, sharing this experience and hope it will help in planning your Camino. On day 1, we hiked from Sarria to Portoarin for a distance of 25.1 kilometers and 522 meters elevation gain. The route begins with a steep ascent until we reach the church of Santa Marina de Sarria, and in a few minutes, the Iglesia de San Salvador and the Sarria sign. We turned right towards the La Magdalena convent, then descend steeply, passing by the Sarria cemetery, continuing to descend until we crossed the Saliru River via Ponte Aspera. We then reached a small stream, then ascend towards the village of Ville. The trail transitions to paved tracks leading to the church of Barbadelo, then continues with varied landscapes of oak trees, meadows, and scattered farmhouses, passing through several villages, until we began a gentle climb towards the village of Ferreros. Following a path between oak trees, the climb continues to a paved track. Then we started to descend until we reached the village of Pena at 100-kilometer mark. We then continued to descend towards several villages, then later took a paved track and reached Parrocha, and descended further towards the village of Vilacha, where we caught views of the modern town of Portoarin. We crossed the bridge of Armenio River as we approached Portoarin, and climbed the grand staircase and Roman arch. Portoarin's highlights include the panoramic views of Minho River, Plaza Contefensa, and San Juan Church. On day 2, we hiked from Portoarin to Palas del Rey with a distance of 26.6 kilometers and 604 meters elevation gain. We started the hike with a steep descent to the main street of Portoarin and crossed a narrow footbridge over Belezar Reservoir. The trail then gently ascends along the northern slope of Mount San Antonio, then later returns to the highway with the fertilizer factory to the left. After approximately 5 kilometers, we reached the village of Gonzar. The trail then continues to a dirt road until we reach the town of Castromayor. Leaving the town, I opted to take the variant with the upper trail towards Castro de Castromayor, a famous archaeological site of the Iron Age. The path later returned to the main trail and after 1.5 kilometers reached the town of Ventas de Naron, which features the Capella de Magdalena. The trail then gently ascends to Ligonde mountain range, then descends to several villages until we reach the town of Ligonde. The trail continued to descend, crossing Ligondo River, then starts to ascend to Monterosso Road, and after several kilometers, we reach the town of Lestedo and Iglesia de Santiago del Estedo. The trail then ascends briefly as it passes several villages, then joins the path parallel to the road, and after 3 kilometers, we reached Palas del Rey. This town features the 12th century Romanesque Church of San Terzo, charming town hall and shops, and beautiful landscape. On day 3, we hiked from Palas del Rey to Arzawa for a distance of 30.3 kilometers and 595 meters elevation gain. The trail starts on the N547 highway, which later turns left on a paved road and after 3 kilometers descends to San Julian de Camino. The path then descends through a dense forest, then gently ascends among pines and oaks to a small peak past Casanova, then descends to a vast meadow until we reach Portoarin. The trail leaves the province of Lugo and enters the province of Coruña as we reach the towns of Coto and Leburero. Next comes the town de Secabo, where we cross the Seco River over Magdalena Bridge. The next stretch enters a forest until we reach the town of Forelos. We then cross the beautiful bridge of San Juan de Forelos and in a few minutes reached Iglesia de San Juan. Leaving the town and in less than 2 kilometers, we arrived at the vibrant town of Melide. We continued, turning left to N547 towards Santa Maria neighborhood, passing by the church and cemetery. In a few minutes, we entered through a forest and crossed the Lazaro Bridge, then passed by several villages, until the trail transitioned to paved tracks as we exit to N547 briefly and reached the town of Puente. We then continued on the paved tracks, passing by several villages with various ups and downs and spectacular views of the surrounding landscape, until we reached the village of Ribadizzo and crossed the Gothic-style Ribadizzo Bridge. After around 1.5 kilometers, we reached the town of Arzawa, which features Plaza de Galicia, Capella de la Magdalena, and Iglesia de Santiago de Arzawa. On day 4, we hiked from Arzawa to Opidedo for a distance of 20.4 kilometers and 375 meters elevation gain. The route starts near Iglesia de Santiago de Arzawa towards Carmen Street and descends towards the forest, passing by the town of As Borazas, then starts to ascend, arriving at the town of Prego Antonio and 2.5 kilometers. We then continued on the path towards the tunnel and ascend between meadows and farmlands, then start to descend, reaching the town of the Berna Villa, which features the Wall of Wisdom. We continued along a path with beautiful line of trees, several farmlands and pastures, then continued descending until we reached the town of Calzada, leaving the municipality of Arzawa as we started to enter the municipality of Opidedo. In a few minutes, we reached the town of Ferreros. We then head towards Salceda and in a few minutes reach the memorial to Guillermo Watt, a pilgrim who died on the Camino. We returned to the main road and crossed N547 through the underpass, then reached the towns of Ocabo and O Empalme, then started our descent beneath eucalyptus trees as we arrived at Roja. The trail then connects with N547 along the paved road and climbed briefly until we reached Opidedo. This town features the neoclassical style Santa Eulalia de Arca church with a scallop-shaped altar. On day 5, our final day, we hiked from Opidedo to Santiago for a distance of 21.1 kilometers and 386 meters elevation gain. We started walking towards Rua da Consejo, where the town hall is located, and continued straight ahead for half a kilometer until we reached the Camino marker to the left, and entered a eucalyptus forest, and soon we reached the village of San Anton. The trail then ascends for more than a kilometer, and when we reached the top, we head towards the intersection of A54 and N634 highway, and in 6.3 kilometers, we reach the monolith with sculpted scallop, gourd, and staff, which signals the entrance to the municipality of Santiago. The next part of the trail skirts around the Santiago airport, and in less than 2 kilometers, we entered San Payo and reached Capella de Santa Lucia. We then started descending through several towns, then reached Lavacola and Iglesia de San Payo de Saboguera. We then crossed N64 and in 1 kilometer reached the town of Villamayor. Then started to ascend until we reached the town of Capella of San Marcos. We then continued ascending until we reached Monte de Gozo, the final stretch of Santiago de Compostela. We descended for the remaining 5 kilometers until we reached the sign for the municipality of Santiago de Compostela. Then made our way across the city center with the tip of the cathedral on sight. In a few minutes, we reached the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela, which culminates our Camino. Highlights of this day is no other than the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela itself, Plaza de Obradoiro, the Pilgrim Mass and Blessing, the Old Town being a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and needless to say, the final day is filled with mixed emotions, having completed a pilgrimage, reflecting on the whole journey and sharing the celebration with other pilgrims. The rest of this video are some info on our accommodations, villages, and other considerations for the hike when Camino.